with the head of commercial banking, the CEO of the bank, all in shorts and a t-shirt, and a couple of days later had an offer. And I thought, any bank that's going to hire me in shorts and a t-shirt is probably a pretty good place to work.
Yeah.
So I took the plunge, and it was a great opportunity.
This season of the SBA Roadshow is sponsored by Ready Capital. I'm Dustin Baker. We're on a mission to build community through shared story. The road is calling. We're gonna do some fun stuff, and you really ought to watch it because it's gonna be amazing. And all the cool kids are doing it. So join me on the SBA Roadshow. This is 12 states for the SBA Roadshow. It's getting late on a Wednesday night, and we're passing over from Colorado into Utah, as you can see. Pulling into Park City, Utah to spend a couple of days with Cal Regan in this beautiful mountain town. We're gonna get on the ski slope. We're gonna spend some time just catching up and talking to him about his perspective of what this last year has been like and really what the last several decades have been like in this sector. He served so well and so passionately for about the last 30 years. Can't wait to introduce you to Cal. This is so much fun. Yeah, the skating is going great.
All right.
This is the last ski lift of the day. It's like, maybe I'll just use my arms and push myself all the way down the hill.
Hi, I'm Cal Regan. I'm the SBA Division Manager for Meadows Bank based in Las Vegas, Nevada.
We're here in Park City with Cal Regan, good friend of mine for a long time, runs the SBA program at Meadows Bank. And so, man, thanks for joining me and hanging out for a couple of days in Park City.
Absolutely. It's great to have you guys come out and see your skills on the mountain a little bit.
And heckle.
Or lack of skills. Down. I mean, however you want to look at it.
The day ended a little better than it started.
It did.
Yeah. So I've never been to Park City before, and I've been to very few places that are this beautiful. So what I want to know is, like, how is it that you ever can sit down long enough and concentrate on your work to do anything productive in a place like this where there's so many wonderful distractions?
It's definitely difficult, but I think it's like anywhere. The longer you live there, it just becomes a background. And, there's still a lot of great things to do, but we were able to get our work done and still enjoy the outside, go skiing, go mountain biking in the summer, and just have a lot of fun.
Well, and if you're right next to it for your lunch break, I guess, you kind of get to where...
I could do that.
You get in a rhythm, you can sneak away for an hour,
Yeah, that's not bad. We can do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you didn't grow up here, you didn't start here. You're a Philly guy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And so you're like the John Denver of the SBA sector, right? So how did you wind up here?
I was born and raised in Philadelphia, went to college back there, started out at PNC Bank, worked right in downtown Philly, and my wife and I had come out here on vacation. And we skied for a couple weeks and just fell in love with Salt Lake, fell in love with the whole area. We just decided to make a plan and move. And all of our friends and families were kind of crazy, like, you're moving to Utah, what? And a lot of my friends who were born and raised in Philly had, really never been west of Pittsburgh. They were asking me, do they even have McDonald's out there? What's Salt Lake like? And we came out and just loved it.
You were telling me about how you interviewed when you got here. That's a fun story. Tell me about how you got your first job here in Park City.
Yeah, so when we were planning to move out here, my wife actually got a job first. So she moved out, say, in May of '93, and I came out over, I think, the 4th of July, that long weekend, and I was just downtown going into the banks, different banks, and trying to get information, dropped off a resume at one of the banks, West One Bank, and I was just in shorts and a t-shirt. I wasn't planning to interview, just trying to drop information off, pick up information. And they saw the resume. They actually came running out into the street the lady from HR, and she said, "Hey, I noticed your resume, you're a commercial lender. Can you interview right now?" I kind of looked at myself and said, "Well, I don't have the proper clothes on for an interview." She's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's fine." So she brought me in. I interviewed with the head of commercial banking, the CEO of the bank, all in shorts and a T-shirt. And a couple of days later, had an offer. And I thought, any bank that's going to hire me in shorts and a T-shirt is probably a pretty good place to work.
Yeah.
So I took the plunge, and it was a great opportunity.
So a lot of people watching this, we have so many monikers and acronyms in the SBA industry. Explain real quick what an SBA BDO is so that people who don't know that will have an understanding.
So BDO stands for Business Development Officer. And it can mean different things for different banks. I mean, it's generally someone who's going out and getting SBA loans. They're marketing to get SBA loans. But different banks with different models, some models, the BDOs, the business developers, are just getting the loan request, and then they're handing it over to an underwriter who's going to actually underwrite the request and move it on from there. Other shops, which is like our shop, we actually call our business development officers also loan officers. Okay. So when they get a transaction in, they're actually doing the first pass analysis. So we try to hire people who have some credit skills. Then they'll pass it on to an underwriter to do the full underwriting.
Okay. So you went to work for West One.
Yep.
At what point did you, because that wasn't an SBA job, so at what point did you kind of meander your way into this sector that you've now worked in for a couple of decades?
Yeah, so when I worked at West One Bank, they didn't have a separate SBA department. So the commercial loan officers did it with the help of Cece. She was kind of the point person for SBA. So I had just started working on a couple deals there, learned the ropes there. And then our bank got bought by US Bank. The guys I worked for moved down to Henderson, Nevada, raised money, started a startup bank. Okay. And they had been open about 6 months, and they asked me to come down and run small business lending. So when I went down, I decided to take the opportunity. We moved down there, joined NAGGL to learn more about the program. So probably 1997-ish is probably when I really started getting into SBA lending.
Okay. Yeah, and you jumped right in. Like, you just took the deep end of the pool, because by the time I joined NAGGL in 2004, like, you're a board member.
Yeah.
Silver State Bank's program is growing pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Then you obviously ran into some adversity toward the end of your time at Silver State, and a lot of us did, right?
Yeah.
The survivors in 8 and 9 and 7 headed into it. Talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so Silver State Bank, we had, like I said, a couple $100 million a year in SBA lending, but we did a lot of land and land development, acquisition development lending. We had a division that did that, and all of that lending was done in Southern Nevada and also in Arizona. Mm-hmm. So when 2008 came, the mortgage crisis, the Great Recession, all of those land development deals started to go bad. So the bank had a lot of problem loans, and then the media picked up on that. There's a lot of local stories about the bank and the performance of the loan portfolio. And ultimately, the bank was taken over by the FDIC. I think that was September of 2008. And yeah, it was rough because, working for a bank, you just think a bank's not going to go out of business. Right. I mean, the stock price may go up and down, or the bank's going to have good years and bad years, but you never think it's actually going to go out of business.
What is the impact that you feel like you've been able to have on the community, even that you live in, by doing what you do?
Yeah, it is interesting. You're doing small loans to small businesses. And like I said, we're still a community bank, so we don't have a huge reach. But it is interesting because you do see the improvements in those areas. So the company you met with yesterday, Bricks Cafe, that building was vacant. It was kind of a rundown building. And we did an SBA loan for him to purchase that property. He did a great renovation, and now it's a vibrant cafe. It's in a good location. So it's just cool to be able to drive around town and you see the small impacts you have. And when you multiply that by the number of banks that are doing SBA lending, and there's more every day, it does have an overall positive impact on the community.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because we talked to Josh, the owner of that restaurant, and I said, "What's your vision for the future?" He says, we're really the first ones that came to this little area and kind of did something to revitalize it. Yeah. And so I'm hopeful that we become an anchor for this area, and so that a business sees you can be successful here. And so the next one, a little bit of that hard ground is plowed. Yeah. And now somebody does it, and all of a sudden you've got not just a vibrant business at the edge of a neighborhood, but the opportunity for a vibrant little community of businesses. And that just he's got 22 employees. It creates a lot of opportunity.
Right. Exactly.
And just quality of life for the people that can walk down the street and enjoy a piece of pizza without getting in their car. So
right. And you notice there's a really nice park across the street. So in the summer, people are going to be getting food there, taking it over to the park. Because we're helping the small guy, the guy that a lot of places overlook. Mm-hmm. And it is cool to see, like you said, 22 people got jobs because we did that SBA loan.
Yeah. And to watch them working together, like they're excited about what they're doing.
You're watching people's dreams come true.
Yeah.
And that's probably overused and whatnot, but it really is. These people who planned all their lives to start a business, and then when it actually comes to fruition, they're so thankful and so excited. It's just their passion.
The last 12 months have been just chock full of all kinds of adversity. So how has what you've navigated in the past sort of prepared you for what you've had to navigate over the last year with this pandemic?
I really don't think anything could have prepared us for what's happening in the economy right now. Like I said, when the bank failed, that was traumatic, and the economy really suffered. But it was a real estate crisis that kind of spread. But yeah, when things started to shut down in March of 2020, and then when the government passed, the America's Recovery Act, and actually, what was it? What was the first act called?
The CARES Act.
The CARES Act. Yeah. The first act in March, and they came up with a PPP program. It was kind of a mad rush to try to figure out what is this program, what are the rules, and the rules kept changing, and information kept coming out, and things you were doing yesterday you couldn't do the next day. But it really became a lifeline for these small businesses, and we retooled everyone. All our business development officers on the SBA side, all of our commercial loan officers, all of our documentation people on both conventional and SBA, pretty much everyone was refocused on doing PPP loans. And it was a lot of long hours. In those early parts of PPP, there was so many system problems. There was capacity issues. You couldn't get things through E-Tran to get approved. We had people staying up till 1, 2 in the morning, inputting E-Tran. I'd be emailing team members late at night like that, and they're emailing me back. So it was intense, and everyone had that sense of responsibility. Like they really wanted to step up and help the small business get these loans so that they could continue to keep their people employed and save their business.
Maybe what is one sort of lesson from the last 12 months, one benefit or thing that's good that you think you'll carry forward for you or for your program that maybe wouldn't have been the case if we hadn't had the adversity of the pandemic to sort of force you to think or work differently?
I think the biggest thing that the pandemic has probably taught a lot of people in banking is stay the course. So if there's a PPP, like that PPP program is out, there's so many ups and downs, especially with all the rule changes and whatnot. But if you stay the course, don't get too frustrated when there's a change. Just read what it is, move on. Okay, this is the way it is now, so now I'm going to adapt and start doing it this way. And not get too flustered with the details because you don't control that. So when something's out of your control, just let that work itself out. You just adapt to work that into your normal workflow. So I think just being able to adapt to changes and continue to move forward and staying positive, I think, is a big thing too, because it's pretty easy for people to get depressed. They're stuck in their house. They can't go to their restaurant. And depending on the state, there's different rules and regulations. But we kind of kept a good communication among our team. So a lot of jokes back and forth and, little gifts that people were sending and stuff about the pandemic and stuff. So I think the levity also helps. So you gotta keep humor. You got to stay the course and you got to adapt.
Yeah. And also you probably got to order your PPP TSD t-shirt
exactly,
as well.
Yeah, credit that
to
Cheryl Cameron, a NAGGL board member. She found on Etsy, I think, someone selling PPP TSD.
Yeah, I wish I'd thought
t-shirts.
of that.
That's what everyone said in the email when she sent it out. They're like, how did we not think of that?
Yeah. I forgot to grab something, but I have something that I want to give to you to say thank you for doing this. And,
absolutely.
And so let me find it. Hold on a second. Not a PPP TSD t-shirt, Cal, but
that might give me PPP TSD.
I've got you an SBA Roadshow t-shirt.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I
for
appreciate
doing
it.
this.
Yeah.
That might be the wrong size, but we'll get you a size that's
Might fit my
appropriate
wife,
for you. Yeah,
but
that's
yeah.
right. Or your dog. Yeah. Next item of merch is going to be like a SBA Roadshow dog sweater.
There you go.
Yeah.
Danny
Probably
would
sell
love one
more
of
of those than the t-shirts.
Exactly.
Man, thank you for doing this. It's been a blast
Absolutely.
to spend a few days hanging out with you and see all this wonderful scenery, but appreciate what you're doing and keep doing it.
Yeah, thanks, and good luck with the rest of the roadshow, man. Appreciate
I
it.
think we're supposed to do COVID protocols.
there we go. Yeah.
We're both
Okay.
vaccinated.
There
It's
we
all
go.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Now there's all kinds of different runs that go from where this lets off.
Maybe y'all should take that one.
Yeah, we want footage of me falling, not dying. Subscribe to our newsletter at sbaroadshow.com/subscribe to see where we'll be next.